Emily told me last Tuesday that she wanted a divorce. There wasn't sadness in her eyes, not even hesitation in her voice. It was cold, sharp, and delivered like a business deal already signed and sealed. We were sitting in the living room of the house we had spent 8 years shaping into a home, but her words felt like the strike of an executioner's blade. "It's over, Daniel Hayes," she said flatly, placing a thick file folder onto the coffee table between us. "I've already met with a lawyer. These are my terms." I didn't open the folder. I didn't need to. Emily was ready to recite her demands like they were rehearsed lines. She wanted the house my grandfather had helped me secure the down payment for. She wanted 70% of our shared savings. She wanted spousal support for at least 5 years locked in stone. There was no negotiation. It wasn't a conversation. It was a declaration of surrender, and she was the victor. When she finished, she leaned back on the couch, crossing her legs with deliberate poise, a confident smirk tugging at her lips. "And I don't want to fight on this. Daniel Hayes," she added, her voice dripping with condescension. "Let's be realistic. You're a high school woodshop teacher. You make a decent living, sure, but you can't afford a real lawyer. My guy will bury you in legal fees before you even see a courtroom. Just agree to the terms and walk away with some dignity." I looked at Emily, the woman I had built my life with, and for the first time, I felt only a hollow coldness. She didn't just want to leave. She wanted to destroy me. For a long moment, I just sat there in silence, letting her words hang heavy in the air. Emily thought she had crushed me. She believed I would break quickly, that I had no real choice but to surrender. Finally, I looked at her with what must have seemed like resignation. My voice came out low and even, and I said the 2 words she expected to hear. "You're right." The relief that washed over Emily's face was instant. She had won, or so she thought. She stood, straightened her skirt, and gave me a look of smug triumph. "Good," she said, satisfied. "I'm glad you're being sensible about this. You'll be served with the official papers next week." Then she turned and walked away, leaving me in that living room surrounded by the echoes of a life we had built together. Here's what Emily knew. She knew I didn't have tens of thousands of dollars to pour into a brutal legal war. She knew I was a man of modest means, a teacher who valued stability over ambition. She also knew I had a brother, an older brother named Marcus. What she was counting on was the fact that Marcus and I hadn't spoken in years. But Marcus Hayes wasn't just anyone. He wasn't a teacher, and he wasn't someone you brushed aside. He was a force of nature, the most feared, most expensive divorce attorney in the state, a predator in the courtroom, with a reputation so sharp that other lawyers stumbled over themselves to avoid crossing him. Emily thought Marcus was no longer a part of my life. She thought the rift between us, the years of silence after our parents' death, had permanently severed any bond we shared. She believed I was completely alone. She was wrong. For 3 days after her announcement, I lived in a kind of darkness I hadn't felt before. She was right about one thing. I couldn't afford to fight her. Not on my own. The thought of losing my home, my savings, everything I had worked for was suffocating. On the 4th day, I reached the bottom, and from that pit, the only way left was up. I swallowed every last shred of pride. The pride that had cost me 5 years of silence with my brother. And I searched for his private number. My hand shook as I dialed. After 2 rings, a deep, familiar voice answered. "Hello?" I swallowed hard. "Marcus, it's Daniel Hayes." There was silence on the other end. A silence so long I thought he might hang up. Finally, he spoke. "Danny?" The old nickname sounded foreign, out of place after so many years. His voice was wary, guarded. "What's wrong?" And it all came out. Everything. Emily's demands, her lawyer, her smug confidence, and the cruel lines she had thrown at me. "You can't afford a lawyer to fight me." There was another heavy silence. When Marcus spoke again, his voice was different. Gone was the guarded tone. What replaced it was steel. "She said that to you?" His words were slow, dangerous. "Yes." "Okay," he said firmly. "When's the first court appearance?" "Next Tuesday. Downtown courthouse. I'll clear my schedule," Marcus said. "Don't talk to her. Don't talk to her lawyer. Don't sign a thing. Just show up on Tuesday. I'll meet you there." When I hung up, my heart was pounding. Emily thought she had stripped me of my defenses. She had no idea she had just forced me to bring back the one weapon she could never prepare for, The morning of the preliminary hearing was soaked in rain, fitting for the storm that was about to break. I walked into the courthouse alone, wearing the only suit I owned. It felt like walking into my own funeral. Emily was already there, seated at the plaintiff's table, looking radiant and powerful. A sharp dark blue suit, hair styled perfectly. Her aura one of unstoppable confidence. Beside her sat her lawyer, an older man with a permanent smirk carved into his face. They chuckled together as I entered, a private celebration of the easy victory they believed was ahead. Emily looked at me and her expression briefly faltered. She expected me to look broken. Instead, I met her eyes with a blank, unreadable stare. I walked to the defendant's table and sat down quietly, placing my old briefcase in front of me. Her lawyer sauntered over. "Mr. Hayes," he said condescendingly, "I trust you've reviewed my client's very generous proposal. If you're ready to sign today, we can make this quick." "I'm waiting for my counsel," I said softly. He laughed. "Your counsel? Good luck with that." He smirked, turned, and walked back to his table. The bailiff called the court to order. The judge entered, stern and commanding. "Hayes versus Hayes," she announced. "Are both parties present and represented?" Emily's lawyer stood. "Yes, Your Honor. Alan Davis representing the plaintiff, Mrs. Emily Hayes." The judge turned to me. "And the defendant?" Before I could answer, the heavy doors at the back of the courtroom burst open. Heads turned as the sound of footsteps echoed through the room. Marcus Hayes walked in. He wasn't just wearing a suit. He was wearing something that radiated power, dark, intimidating, perfectly cut. His briefcase swung at his side like a weapon. Whispers spread instantly. Every lawyer in the room recognized him. Marcus didn't look at anyone but me. He walked directly to my table, placed a hand on my shoulder, and gave it a reassuring squeeze. Then he sat, clicked open his gleaming briefcase, and the atmosphere in the courtroom changed completely. I glanced at Emily. The smirk was gone. Her face was pale, her jaw slack. She looked as if she had seen a ghost sit down across from her. Her lawyer's face drained of color. He knew exactly who my brother was and what his presence meant. Marcus leaned toward me. "Sorry I'm late, little brother." Traffic was hell. Then he straightened, his voice carrying authority as he addressed the judge. "Marcus Hayes, Your Honor, representing the defendant, Daniel Hayes." The judge's eyebrows lifted. She knew the name. Everyone did. Then Marcus turned his gaze on Emily and her lawyer, his smile sharp as a blade. "My apologies for the delay," he said, mock politeness dripping from his tone. Then, with a cold, devastating line, he looked at Emily and said, "He doesn't have to afford me. I'm his older brother." Emily's world collapsed in that instant. She thought she had come for a surrender. What she had walked into was an ambush. What followed was nothing short of a blitzkrieg. Marcus didn't just defend me. He annihilated her case piece by piece. He filed motions so precise and brutal that even the judge seemed wary of pushing back. The first motion was discovery. Marcus demanded every financial document Emily had touched for the last 5 years. Bank accounts, credit card bills, work expenses, even Venmo transactions. Her lawyer tried to dismiss it as harassment, but the judge granted Marcus's request in full. Emily had no choice but to hand over everything. But that was only the beginning. Marcus scheduled depositions, not just with Emily, but with her friends, family, even colleagues. His strategy was clear: squeeze until the truth broke loose. The breakthrough came with Emily's best friend, Chloe. She was loyal, but no match for Marcus's interrogation. For hours he probed politely, charmingly, ruthlessly. Finally, he asked about a man named David Sincade. Chloe flinched. Marcus produced credit card records from a hidden account. Emily had kept in transactions for hotels, jewelry, expensive dinners. He pressed harder. Under oath, Chloe admitted it. Emily had been having an affair with David for over 18 months. It all made sense. Her arrogance, her financial demands, her confidence. She wasn't just leaving me. She was stripping me clean to fund a new life with her lover. When David himself was deposed, his arrogance dissolved quickly under Marcus's questioning. He admitted everything. The affair, the conspiracy. Even that he had advised Emily to demand the house and spousal support. Certain I couldn't fight back. They had underestimated me. They had underestimated my brother. With that, Emily's case wasn't weakened, it was obliterated. She had committed perjury, hidden assets, and attempted fraud. Her lawyer begged Marcus to settle. Marcus's answer was cold. No, she doesn't get to walk away. We're going to court, and we're going to burn her case to the ground. 6 months later, I stood in that same courtroom as a different man. What began as defeat ended as victory. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the affair, the hidden money, the perjury, Emily had no choice but to surrender completely. She lost everything: the house, her claims to spousal support, even part of her share of savings, which the judge ordered returned to me after. Marcus proved she had spent marital funds on her affair. Emily left the marriage not with the wealth and triumph she expected, but with humiliation, debts, and the ruins of her own schemes. Her lover, David, abandoned her almost immediately. Her friends distanced themselves after being dragged into court. Her reputation collapsed. But the most important part of this story wasn't Emily's downfall. It was what happened with Marcus. After the divorce was finalized, he called me. "Meet me at the old house," he said. I drove there, nervous. When I arrived, he was sitting on the porch. We didn't talk about Emily or the case. We talked about Dad's awful fishing trips, Mom's apple pie, our childhood. After a long silence, Marcus looked at me. "I was wrong, Danny. I forgot what this place meant. It's not an asset. It's home." I nodded. I was wrong too. I was stuck in the past, not willing to move forward. We decided not to sell the house. Instead, we fixed it up together. Side by side, we painted, repaired, rebuilt. It wasn't a relic anymore. It became a project for our future. Emily thought she was isolating me. Instead, she gave me back my brother. She thought she was taking everything. But in the end, I realized I hadn't lost anything that truly mattered. I had gained it all back. Emily's final words to me, before walking out that night, were meant to crush me. "You can't afford a lawyer to fight me." She thought those words would be the end of me. Instead, they became the spark that reignited something far stronger than her: arrogance in my bond with Marcus. What Emily never understood is that life doesn't always play out the way you calculate on paper. You can prepare your demands, polish your speeches, and stack the odds in your favor. But if you misjudge the human heart, if you misjudge family, you lose everything. She wanted to dismantle my life piece by piece. But what she really did was bring my brother back into it. She underestimated the quiet resilience of someone she thought was too weak to fight. She underestimated what happens when pride is put aside for something greater. In the end, Emily walked away with nothing, not just financially, but emotionally, socially, and spiritually. She lost the house, the money, her lover, her friends, and her reputation. What she tried to weaponize against me only exposed her own betrayal. But I didn't walk away empty-handed. I walked away with my home intact, my dignity restored, and my brother, my fiercest ally, standing at my side again. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: sometimes the people who try to break you are the very reason you discover your true strength. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest weapon you can carry. So if you're watching this and you've ever felt cornered, betrayed, or written off as weak, remember my story. You are not defined by the plans others make for you. You are defined by what you do when everything seems lost. Don't surrender your worth just because someone believes you can't fight back. You never know what strength, what allies, or what hidden reserves are waiting for you to make that one bold decision to stand up. And if this story struck something in you, if you felt that spark, and then don't let it fade. Share this video, leave your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stories like this one. Because sometimes the right story at the right moment can change everything.